crochet lovers, and welcome to my channel Spaß mit Faden. Today I want to show you how I've crocheted these beautiful flower keychains. I want to turn one around and they look like this. My keychains have a width of 6 centimeters and a height of 6 centimeters too. And as you can see, they've turned out very pretty and beautiful. And I now want to tell you what you'll need to crochet together with me your keychains. But please make sure to subscribe my channel just to support me first. To crochet now together with me your flower keychain, you'll of course need some yarn. I've decided to crochet the center of my flower again with my yellow yarn, and this time I will be using this lovely blue for the petals of my flower keychain. You can of course use any yarn color that you like, and I've crocheted my keychain with a 3mm hook. By using a bigger hook, your flower keychain will get more big, and by using a tiny hook, your flower keychain will get more tiny. Although I've already prepared one keychain, as you can see, and I've laid down one yarn needle. With my yarn needle, I want to sew up my yarn ends later. And I've already prepared one scissors, and with this scissors I later want to cut off my yarn ends. And I really do hope now that you enjoy crocheting together with me your beautiful flower keychain. I want to start to crochet my flower keychain now by picking up first the color that I want to use for my center. In my case it is the yellow, and with my yellow yarn I now want to create a magic ring. After you've created your magic ring, you want to secure your magic ring with one simple chain. We want to start to crochet now into our magic ring bubbles. I want to show you how I do that. The first thing that I want to do for my first bubble is to yarn over and insert my hook into my magic ring. Then I want to yarn over and pull my yarn through my magic ring. And after that I really want to pull on my hook to make the loops on my hook bigger. This was now the first time. I want to repeat it for 4 times in total for one bubble. So I yarn over, insert my hook again into my magic ring, then I want to yarn over and pull my yarn through my magic ring again. And after that I want to make sure that these loops on my hook get bigger by pulling on my hook. This was the second time. I want to yarn over, insert my hook into my magic ring, yarn over and pull my yarn through again. And again, I want to pull on my hook to make the loops on my hook big. This was the third time, and now the fourth and last time is coming. So I want to yarn over one last time, insert my hook into my magic ring, yarn over again and pull my yarn through. What I want to do now to complete this first bubble is to yarn over, and this yarn I now want to pull through all the loops on my hook, just like this. Now that I've created my first bubble, I want to chain 1 and continue with my second bubble. I want to show you one more time how I create these bubbles. We want to yarn over, insert our hook into our magic ring, yarn over again and pull the yarn through, and then we want to pull on our hook just to make the loops as big as this. This was now the first time. I want to yarn over, insert my hook again into my magic ring, yarn over, and after that I want to pull again on my hook to make the loop big. This was the second time, my third, and my fourth and last time. And again I want to yarn over, and after I've repeated this for 4 times I just want to pull my yarn now through all the loops on my hook to create my second bubble. After our bubbles we always want to chain 1 and then continue with our next bubble. We now want to crochet in total into our magic ring 12 of these bubbles, and after our bubbles we always want to chain 1 chain in between. Once you've crocheted your 12 bubbles, I want to show you how we want to start to crochet the petals of our flower. I just crocheted my 12 bubbles into my magic ring, and I already started to really pull my magic ring together by pulling on the end of my yarn. I just want to complete this now together with you. For this I first make my loop big on my hook, and then I really want to grab up my yarn end and pull it like this to just close the magic ring up. Please make sure that you really do this step by step, that your yarn isn't coming off. So I want to pull now on my yarn end, and as you can see, by pulling on the end of my magic ring and the yarn, my magic ring now closed up completely. After you've pulled on the end on your yarn and closed your magic ring completely, you want to crochet 1 slip stitch on top of this very first stitch. So for a slip stitch, I want to insert my hook now on top of the stitch, yarn over and pull my yarn through all the loops on my hook like this. After my slip stitch, I now want to crochet 1 basic chain, then I want to cut my yarn off and pull my yarn through this chain. And now I want to show you how I want to sew up my ends invisibly, and then we want to continue with the petals of our flower. So what I've done so far is to already sew up my first yarn end, and I want to show you now how you can sew up your yarn ends and hide them. The first thing that I want to do is to grab my yarn needle, and with this I just want to grab up some of those loops and pull my yarn totally through it. After that, I want to now sew up my very first knot. So what I want to do is to grab again some of those loops of the stitches. I want to insert my yarn needle in it, and this time I don't want to pull my yarn totally through it. I just want to pull on my yarn needle till this loop here creates itself, and into that loop I now want to insert again my yarn needle and pull now this knot very tight. After my very first knot, I now want to insert my yarn needle again onto some of those loops and grab them up, and I just want to pull my yarn now through all of those stitches completely. Because we do it like this knot really hides itself underneath our stitches, and after that I now want to really create my second knot by grabbing up again some of those loops with my yarn needle and pull my yarn through till this loop here creates itself again. And now I want to insert my yarn needle again into this loop and pull my knot tight. And after that, I want to just grab up one last time some of those loops and pull my yarn completely through it to hide my little knot. And once you've sewed up your yarn ends and cut them off, we want to continue to crochet now the petals of our little flower keychain. We are now already completed the center of our flower, and we now want to start to crochet the petals. As I said, I want to crochet my petals now with this blue yarn, and the first thing that we want to do is to just take any of those bubbles here, and in between into that stitch we now want to insert our yarn. As you can see, I've always got the stitches on top of my bubbles like this one, and in between our two bubbles I now want to insert my yarn over and pull my yarn through. Now I want to crochet with my yarn 3 chains. This is my first, second and my third chain. Now that I've crocheted my 3 chains, I really want to insert my hook on top of this bubble and crochet my very first petal by crocheting a bubble again. Because my yarn is now a little bit thin, I want to do this by yarning over 8 times. If you do have a thicker yarn, 6 times can be really enough. So I yarn over, insert my hook for the first time on top of the bubble, yarn over and pull it through. This was my first time, the second, my third time, number 4, 5, 6, 7, and my 8th and last time. And each time I really make sure to make the loops on my hook big by just pulling a little bit on my hook. After I've repeated that for 8 times, I want to yarn over and finish my very first petal by pulling my yarn now through all these loops on my hook. Just like this. And once you've completed your first petal, you want to crochet again 3 chains. This was my first, second and my third chain. Then you want to grab up the stitch in between your bubbles. In my case it will be this one, and crochet 1 slip stitch into it. For slip stitch I just grab up the stitch in between my 2 bubbles as I said, yarn over and pull my yarn now through all the loops on my hook. After that I want to chain 3 again. This is my first, second and my third chain, and again I want to crochet on top of this bubble 1 petal by yarning over 8 times. This is the first time. After I've put my yarn through, I just want to really pull on my hook to make the loop big. This is the second time, my third time, number 4, my 5th time, number 6, 7, and my 8 and last time. And now I want to again close my bubble up by yarning over and pulling my yarn through all the loops on my hook. After that, I want to again crochet 3 chains, and in between these 2 bubbles I want to grab up my stitch and just crochet 1 slip stitch into it. And after my slip stitch I want to crochet again 3 chains before I go on with my following bubble. So please just crochet around your center 12 of these bubbles, and once you're at the end I want to show you how we want to crochet our very last round. I'm now nearly at my 12th and last petal, as you can see, and the flower looks now very nice. What I want to do after I've crocheted in between those 2 bubbles, my slip stitch and 3 chains again, is to crochet on top of this very last bubble my 12th petal. So I want to yarn over, insert my hook, and as I said, because my yarn is very thin, I want to repeat this now for 8 times. This was the 3rd, my 4th, my 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th and last time. And after that I really want to yarn over and pull my yarn now for the last time through all these loops on my hook. After that I want to again chain 3, this was my 1st, 2nd and my 3rd chain, and I want to insert my hook now in between my 1st and my last bubble and crochet a slip stitch. Now we are already at our very last round. What we want to do now after this last slip stitch is to chain 3 again, and we now always want to crochet on top of our petals single crochets. So I want to insert my hook now on top of this bubble, yarn over and pull my yarn through, and for single crochet I now want to yarn over and pull my yarn through the 2 loops on my hook just like this. After my single crochet I want to again chain 3, this is the 2nd, and my 3rd chain, and in between my 2 petals I now want to insert my hook again. I want to do that by inserting it again into the yellow part and crocheting 1 slip stitch. Now that I've crocheted my slip stitch, I want to pull my yarn a little bit tight and chain again 3. And then I want to insert my hook again on top of my following petal, yarn over and crochet 1 single crochet. Like this we now want to complete our round. Always crochet after your slip stitches, like this, again 3 chains. Then you want to insert your hook on top of your petal and crochet 1 single crochet, and you chain 3 again before you crochet your next slip stitch. And because we do that, our petals look more beautiful, as you can see. Here I've already crocheted this pattern, and on this one it is really missing, and I personally think this looks much nicer. And once you've done that with all your petals and you're really in between those 2 last petals, you want to crochet 1 slip stitch, and then I want to show you how we want to insert on top of this last petal our keychain. I'm now nearly at the end of my 2nd round for my petals. As you can see, I've got 1 last petal left, and what I've done is to crochet on my 2nd last petal, again my single crochet, and after that I've chained my 3 chains again. On top of my last petal, I now really want to insert my keychain. So what I want to do after my 3 chains is to again crochet 1 slip stitch in between the last 2 petals, just like this. And once I've crocheted my slip stitch, I again want to crochet 3 chains. And after my 3rd chain, I now want to take my keychain and just insert it onto my hook before I crochet my single crochet on top of my petal. So I just inserted my keychain now on my hook, and then I want to insert my hook on top of my last petal, yarn over and pull my yarn through. And now I want to yarn over, and this yarn I now want to pull through those 2 loops and my keychain, just like this. What I want to do now is to again grab with my hook the keychain, because I want to crochet 1 slip stitch to secure it even more on top of my petal as well. So I want to yarn over and crochet 1 slip stitch on top of my petal, just like this. Then I want to pull my yarn very tight, and I want to again crochet 3 chains, And one last time I just want to insert my hook now in between my first and my last petal and crochet one last slip stitch in between those two petals. And what I want to do after my very last slip stitch is to really chain one, and then I want to cut my yarn off and just pull on my hook to really pull this yarn through my very last chain. All we have to do now is to sew up our ends. I just completed the crochet my flower keychain by hiding my yarn ends, and as you can see, they've turned out very beautiful and sweet. And the nice thing about our flower keychains is that you can crochet them actually very fast, and as you can see, they've turned out very pretty. And if you did like now this instruction and have now as beautiful flower keychains as I do, please make sure to subscribe my channel and like and comment this video, and I really hope that we'll see each other the next time again.